challenges with gains and constraints embedded in the new Environmental Action Plan, linked to the State of the Environment report in 2009.
There need to be an action plan. That was the phase action plan. That was the phase one. That action plan is just a guideline on how are we going to maintain our environment in this society. Based on that first one, we look at what we have achieved and what we could not achieve. Then we come up with the second jeep to continue what we are doing.
This stakeholders interface is part of renewed efforts taken by the 81 staff department, meant to sensitize stakeholders on programs and activities of the new environmental blueprint.
We went to the grassroots, we go to the communities. So what we did was we contact the council, that is the Brikama Area Council, KMC, and the BCC to pick from their communities, people where they have representative of the youths, the women, the elders and others to come here. We come together, have a meeting, discuss on, sensitize each other, and they have to go back and go back to their different communities and disseminate this information to them.
As their advocacy campaign intensifies, participants drawn from area councils are hoping for support from President Jammeh in order to curb the nightmare of garbage piling in their respective areas, especially at the source of the Smiling Coast. Babukar Kamara, GRTS.
We'll be back with more stories after this break.
If life is unsecured, death is untimely, and disasters are beyond control, IGI Gamstar Insurance Company comes as a savior. At IGI Gamstar Insurance Company, we insure against accidents like vehicles, aviation, marine, fire outbreaks, and medical, property loss and damage. At IGI Gamstar, we give priority to settlement of genuine claims. For further information, visit Gamstar Insurance Company House at 79 Daniel Goddard Street or call +220-422-6021 or 422-5257. IGI Gamstar Insurance Company, the nation's insurer of choice.
Welcome back. The Assistant Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court has been speaking against what she called the vicious cycle of impunity in Côte d'Ivoire. Fatou Bensouda is heading a team of international criminal law experts investigating alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity that were said to have been committed during the post-election violence that engulfed Côte d'Ivoire. More in this report.
International Criminal Court's Deputy Prosecutor Fatou Bensouda of Gambia did not mince her words. The vicious circle of impunity in the Côte d'Ivoire must come to an end. This is what she told President Alassane Ouattara. The ICC delegation is in the Côte d'Ivoire to evaluate the security situation. They will then consider whether to press charges of crimes against humanity and war crimes committed during the period of troubles, and especially the period when the rebels marched on Abidjan with French and UN military support.
One of the most important things that we have discussed, the President and the ICC delegation, is that we are going to focus on crimes of all sides, and that anybody who's responsible for these most serious crimes of which the ICC has jurisdiction is not going to be protected.
Alassane Ouattara gave the green light to the International Criminal Court, and he said there is no plan to protect anybody from prosecution. The Ivorians and the International Criminal Court signed a judicial cooperation agreement. It states Ivorian justice will investigate economic crimes and crimes against the state, while the International Criminal Court will try crimes against humanity and war crimes.
Anybody who lives on Ivorian territory, anybody, whether they be close to President Ouattara or to President Gbagbo, these people must be arrested, transferred to the International Criminal Court, judged and sentenced, so that we can say never again in Côte d'Ivoire.
One region the ICC delegation will visit is the West, where at least 3,000 people were killed during the rebel offensive. Victims and witnesses have until July 16th to petition the ICC prosecutor. But given the insecurity and the lack of trust in the new authorities, many may fear for their safety if they speak out.
The Democratic Republic of Congo is gearing up for the forthcoming presidential poll. President Joseph Kabila and the leader of the main opposition party have already obtained voter cards, but the opposition is decrying the slow pace of the process in Kinshasa, where it believes it has a strong footing. The Electoral Commission has 8 days to convince millions of unregistered prospective voters to come forward and register. Let's look at this report for more.
The president of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Joseph Kabila, was at this center in Gomba to obtain his voter registration card. His fingerprints and photos were taken, and a few minutes later he was in possession of the precious card that would allow him to vote and run in November's presidential election. Opposition leader Etienne Tshisekedi also underwent the same formalities.
The people must understand that we have all decided, through this gesture, to participate in the 2011 election, so everyone must register.
Getting on the list of registered voters is a slow process full of problems. Of the 8 million residents in the capital, Kinshasa, only 2.5 million are registered, whereas 3 million were registered in 2005. The opposition Congo Liberation Movement, the MLC, says the number of registered voters here is vital.
Kinshasa is the MLC's city. Here, the head of our party won 70% of the vote in the second round when he ran against the president who is currently in office.
In a bid to counter criticism, the Electoral Commission has launched a voter registration campaign and called on political parties and the civil society to participate. But the Electoral Commission does not intend to delay the election.
If by July 5th there are long lines of people without their voter registration card, we will consider delaying the election. But if the bureaux are empty like they are today, why do so?
There are fewer than 8 days remaining to convince millions of Congolese to register. For the Electoral Commission, the challenge is accomplishing this without postponing the election.
Efforts by the lawyer acting on behalf of the family of the slain former Burkinabe military leader Thomas Sankara to file a lawsuit against those allegedly responsible for the killing of the charismatic soldier have received a boost from French lawmakers. Sankara, who led a coup in 1983, was murdered in 1987 in a counter-coup. Thomas Sankara was highly regarded by his countrymen and is said to be among those who gave the country its current name, Burkina Faso. Let's look at this report for more on that.
The very popular Thomas Sankara was for many people in Burkina Faso the man who would help Africa shape its own destiny. The captain in the Upper Volta former French colony who seized power in a coup in 1983 and was among those responsible for changing the country's name to Burkina Faso was killed in October 1987. The file on his death is still open. The lawyer for the Sankara family, Benewende Sankara, first petitioned for an investigation back in 1997, but the civilian court decided against it. It said the affair was a military matter and could only be handled upon request by the defense minister.
Unfortunately, we deal with high-level impunity here because the state and certain high-level officials were involved in the killing of Sankara. The courts work alongside the regime here and are not fair. So it's difficult in Burkina Faso for the law to be respected.
After facing judicial complications and stalling in Burkina Faso, the lawyer Sankara has gone to seek help from the French Parliament. Some 21 French deputies, mostly from the Green Party and the Communist Party, agreed to call for an investigation by the Parliament in Paris on the killing of Thomas Sankara in Ouagadougou. The request has little chance of being granted, but Green Party heavyweight Noël Mamère says this is about cleaning out a very ugly file in France's colonial history.
You can see that from North Africa to Black Africa to the Middle East, people are involved in uprisings. And contrary to what the French president has said, these people are not destined to be repressed for their whole lives. So, as a part of this overall democratic revolt, we have requested the French Parliament to launch an investigation.
Why launch an investigation in France? Because Thomas Sankara was a leader among those criticizing the unbalanced and lopsided relations between France and its former colonies. Witnesses at the time said the French secret